That. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Mark Remeets World. I'm your host, Mark Levy, and I'm so excited for today's episode of Mark Remeets World. It's a good one, and we deserve good episodes, right? Today we're going to be talking about She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not from season 1. And we have a great guest today. If you haven't had a chance to watch the episode, you know what to do. Watch it on Disney Plus, Daily Motion, TVDs. Use a really good time machine that can work. I don't know. Whatever feels right, do that right now, and I'll be right here. Great. Okay, so now you did that, and you know what time it is. It's time for the awkward transition. Bye-bye.
Woo!
Yeah. And we're back. Awkward transitions are always the best. And also, look at my new camera. But you probably knew I had a new camera because you already saw this. Okay, well, you already saw my new toy. Whatever. More exciting things are happening right now. I'm here with a guest I've wanted on the show for a while. She's a dear friend of mine. Also, another millennial. Because guy kept keeping millennials on the show because this is a millennial show. The one, the only, Colleen Nugent. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a little bit of a morning, but not in a bad way. Yes, I call 2 p.m. the morning, but it's the morning in my mind. How about you?
Oh, it's the same for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like everything's just a big old blur.
Oh, yes. Day 2020.
Yay, the hellfire that is this year.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it is a lot. But I can tell you what isn't a lot. This really great episode of Boy Meets World that we watched today. Which would be, I'm going to give a little bit of the statistics for the episode. It was episode 13. If you're watching Disney Plus, you're not going to watch Risky Business. You're going to watch She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not. It came out on January 14th, 1994, directed by David Trainer, and written by April Kelly. And keeping up the tradition that our friend Andrew Favaloro started, we will do a one-word at a time plot synopsis of the episode. Which shouldn't be too hard because it's like a one-sentence plot synopsis, pretty much. Topanga.
Balls.
In.
Love.
With.
Eric.
But.
Cory.
Thinks.
That.
She.
Is.
In.
Love.
With.
Him.
That's the whole plot of the episode. There's not even it's so weird. Like 2 episodes in a row, we've had no B plot, just like straight up.
Yep.
That is the plot, you know. But yeah, let's start at the top of the episode. We have like the longest cold open like I've ever seen. I think like a 20-minute long episode.
Yes.
Like at the end of this cold open, I was like, that's 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Normally it's like 2 minutes tops. 3 minutes and 45 seconds. It starts off.
It does a huge part in this one.
Like, well, it sets up the whole plot of the whole episode.
Yeah.
Like everything that this whole episode's about happens, and then like it starts off with making us feel like, ah, and like you like see that he's like
holding his origami book.
Yeah, he made an origami camellia that looks like a rose for Topanga, and she's like, that's so sweet, and he's like, I'm in love with you, basically, and she's like, oh, that's so sweet, and you think that they're like falling in love, and Sean and Cory are doing a little like sports commentator type
around about him. Yeah.
Sports. I mean, like I'm sure we've all been there, right?
Yep.
That whole like, oh yeah, that person's falling in love, whether it's like at a bar or at school or both. A school that is bar. Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing of we're seeing it happen, or we want to see it happen, which is kind of like what is the case in this one, I think.
Yeah.
Did you ever make any like origami or anything for people when you were a kid?
Well, I used to like fold up my notes in like the football or like the weird sheets for people to open and pass them in class.
Nice.
So, I remember doing that.
I was too scared to do that as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, like I was such a goody two shoes. I was like, oh my god, if I do anything wrong, I'm going to get myself in trouble, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to get like detention or anything. I'm just gonna fix my lights. This is like so blue that I look like I'm dead. I don't know if I like that.
Oh no.
Oh, that's warmer.
That's better.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I was like, why do I look like I'm dying? I mean, I'm a pale man. I know, but
Oh, I know the feeling.
you're not that pale. You have a tan.
No, I'm not. I
I've
guess
seen you
maybe in
tan
this lighting
before.
it looks
I've
like
seen
it.
you tan before. Um. Yeah. No, I was too scared to pass notes or anything because I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get in trouble. And like, I was convinced that like my permanent record was real and would like fuck up my life. Like, do you remember
Although
that?
I kind of like that too.
Do you remember that show on Nickelodeon, like Hello Freshman or whatever it was?
No.
I think it was called. No, it wasn't Hello Freshman. It was like. Give me one second. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. Let me know what it's about. Maybe I'll remember.
Welcome Freshman.
I don't think I know that one.
It lasted from like 1991 through 94. Uh, but like the teacher, the principal was always like, "Oh, it's gonna be on your permanent record."
I feel like every 90s television principal said that.
I mean, there's no such thing as a permanent record, right?
There is no such thing as a permanent record.
I really thought it was real.
That's just what they threaten people with.
Yeah.
Yes, as a teacher, there is no such thing as a permanent record.
I mean, you are a teacher. I mean, and I guess the permanent record would start when you teach people. If you're going to get permanent.
Yeah, more so you just tell other teachers so you're warned about somebody if it's a kid that would need that.
It's like, hey, Brian's a bag of shit. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Maybe in softer terms, but yes, there are children that are like that.
That's fair. But like, it's so funny, like the weird commentary that Sean and Cory have.
I know.
And then like Feeney walks in and he's like, "Have you guys had a good weekend?" And like, Cory said, Sean says he sold blood.
Yes. Oh my God, he's like super creepy in that episode. I was like, "What is this?"
So this episode is
also
like
said about like Bambi's mom being shot.
This is like the creeper episode. Like Topanga's fucking creepy in this episode.
Well, she's creepy in a lot of the early episodes.
That's true, but like she's creepy in this episode. Like after, like I'll bring it up in a bit, but there was that moment I'm like, oh, that's no. But it was just like, I'm like, what the fuck is Sean doing if he's selling bags of blood? Like in my mind, he's just.
I was like, what does that mean? I sold blood, and then they just don't say anything after that.
It's just a laugh line. It's just a laugh line, and then like. Feeney's like, okay, so we have a kid from the high school coming, and he's gonna tell you about what to expect. And in walks Eric, and everyone's just a little flabbergasted to see Eric be the representative for high school. And
Dr. Scott, Brad, it was basically that.
Straight up like the Rocky Horror type thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so great. I remember that we never did anything like this. Like we had a teacher I remember come in when I was like in middle school.
We do that. We'll do like older siblings and stuff, or like members of the school come in.
But like telling you about like what to expect, or.
We've done that actually with like kindergartners in pre-K. Like they could ask what kindergarten is like and things like that. So there are schools that do things like that.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, it was just not my experience. I'm like that.
I never had that, but we definitely do that at my school.
Cool. Yeah. It was just really funny seeing like Eric be like, you gotta know what tree is the cool tree and where the parking lot is, and like what parking lot is cool. I do remember that was a real thing in my high school. Like what parking lot was the cool parking lot?
Really?
Yeah,
we had one parking lot.
We had two parking lots for students. One of them had trees, so that was the cooler one, and the other one was just like concrete.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
very small. So
my high school was like 3,500 kids.
Jesus Christ! My graduating class was like 200 kids.
My friend Josh, who does the show often, his graduating class is like 45. I'm like,
that was my 8th grade class.
Oh my God.
We didn't have a high school. I got to pick where I went to high school.
That's fun.
Oh yeah, we got to like tour 3 different schools in the area, and then you got to pick your high school.
Yeah, no, like my high school was like 5 blocks from my parents' house.
That's nice.
And it was a good high school. Like it was a big suburban high school that had like 20 different languages you can study.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a good arts, like good in general arts. I don't know if that's still the same because I haven't been there in 16 years, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice, like, weird,
Well,
like,
now.
good South Florida school, like, for the suburbs. And then we quickly noticed that Topanga's not in love with Minkus, but she's in love with Eric. And you see
Yep.
it in her eyes.
Her
She's just got
eyes.
stars in her eyes. She's like,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, it's so great. And then, like, the cold open ends. And, like, they already told, like, half the story already. It's
Yep.
insane.
Yep.
So this is your first time, like, rewatching a season 1 episode, I think, because of what you told me, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was your thought when you heard that
theme
song?
or the old theme? I was like,
I
always remembered like the newer theme from it. I was
like the Boy Meets World.
Yes. I was like, I forgot this existed.
Yeah.
They go through like 3 different themes.
They got so I did before when I was prepping to get like episodes started for this. I did a mini episode that people can see on the Mark Remeets World YouTube channel, not my YouTube channel, but which is linked in the page, whatever. I did a thing about the themes of Boy Meets World, like of every season's theme, and like showed this whole like 2-minute monstrosity where there's like a tap dance number at one point.
Yes, there is. I remember that. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, because even starting season 2 is when it's the cartoon of him like resting against like a wall and like of the world and like the world rolls over him. Yeah. And then there's like the car section, and then they have like the final version, which is like, well, it's called the Friends section because it feels like a Friends opening.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're all friends.
Like 90s sitcom.
Like you literally see like every version of the 90s sitcom in all of the Boy Meets World openings. Like get that really horrible like late 80s, early 90s version all the way to like Friends.
Yep. It reminds me of like the Too Many Cooks video. Too Many Cooks.
Oh my god. That thing is just so funny. I want to bring up something that's very cool about this episode that makes this episode completely unique from the other 150 other episodes. It's the only time that Nebula Stop the War Lawrence is mentioned and or seen.
Yes, I like forgot she existed.
Because she's like, it's so weird because like people know who she is, but she's really only mentioned in this episode. Because Topanga becomes an only child like when you meet her parents.
It's like I was like, I don't remember what she even looked like until this walk.
Yeah, and she looks like what you would imagine Danielle Fishell's older sister would look like.
Exactly.
Like a lot of hair and like a denim jacket. But it was just so funny, like the first mention of Nebula because they call her Nebby, and like Cory's like, you mean Debbie? She's like, no, Nebby. It's short for Nebby Stop the War Lawrence.
It's great, and she just like, says it like it's nothing,
Yeah. It's so great. I love the craziness of early Topanga.
Yes.
Did you want to be like her as a kid, like when you were watching the show?
I mean, I always liked her, but
my outfit's inspired by the 90s. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
No, yeah, I liked her. Yeah. Like goofy and weird.
She's always been like a really cool person. Like I never really had a big crush on her like every other boy did. I feel like I probably had a crush on her for like a second. But like like I remember if I had a crush on her it was like probably like season 2 or season 3. Mm-hmm. But
she is definitely crazy and weird. What about the episode where she draws with lipstick?
That's her first appearance. That's her first episode.
Yes.
Yeah. That's such a great episode. So then we get to she comes to the house to drop off brownies, and Sean's like, "Oh, this is for you, Cory." And he's like, "No, they're not for me. Oh my god!" And then like they're like, they just want Topanga gone. Like they just want her gone.
Like, braids in Cory's sister's hair.
Yeah, Morgan's like, "Oh, like we get so little Morgan, so little Amy in this episode. Like they're just in the scene, I believe." And it's like, Morgan's like, "Oh, can you put a braid in my hair?" And then like they go away and
like, "Oh yeah, getting it in with your sister, bringing you brownies."
Yeah, and it's like, and then when Eric returns, all that stuff happens, and Cory kicks Topanga out of the house. He's like, we're over the legal hair limit in the house. And it's so funny.
Hair limit, yes.
Like, there's like 5 references to how like much
Yes.
hair she has this episode.
Well, like when he's like telling Eric that she's like in love with him, he describes her as the hair with a child attached to it or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then so Topanga gets kicked out of the house. And this is like the creepiest thing I've ever seen, like from anything. It's just so Eric has to take out the trash, and like you see Topanga is like,
oh yeah,
she's
like lurking in the back.
Yeah. And like literally, I'm gonna clip that right now, so you can actually see like you just saw what just happened there. You see her like lurking and like just standing there in the back, like that's all she does that whole scene. And there's like a 2-minute long scene between like Eric and Feeney where Feeney is like, hey, it's cool that you talked about this, but you should also talk about other things in high school, like school stuff.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, it was entertaining, but you weren't informative. And then he ends up returning later.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there at that point later, but like it was just a really like it's so weird. This is one of those
standing there while they're like
she's standing there for like 5 minutes, but you only see her like twice. But like she's there the whole fucking scene. Right behind that like picnic bench.
Well, you don't even notice it at first until she runs away.
No, you notice her. Like you like you're just like, why is Topanga standing there? Like I mean, at least I was like, why is Topanga's just standing right there? But it's just like like it reminds like stuff like that just creeps me out because like kids can be creepy, you know?
Yep. Oh, I know.
I mean, you teach kids.
Yeah, I had a kid once tell me, I wish I could stare at you all day long. Like, if you weren't like a little child.
If you were like closer, if they were closer to our age. Like,
yep.
Cool, I'm going to go this way.
Yep. Yeah. Please, you should probably not say that to people.
Yeah, it's a thing to avoid. Don't be a creep, guys. Or girls, just don't be a creep. So then we get to like the cafeteria scene, which is like when we learn something very massive about Sean in this episode. Sean's a gross, disgusting child.
Yes, I know.
He's a gassy motherfucker, and he smells like shit. Like,
yeah,
like literally, he's like, "Oh, the mac and cheese is disgusting. I'm gonna eat more of yours." Like, stuff.
Oh yeah, and then he wants to like damage her binder with mac and cheese and all that. Hey, well,
and,
he's not told he needs antiperspirant.
Like straight up at the end of that scene, like, and
3
just,
words.
like literally that it's just and like so he's like looking through the binder and he's like, oh yeah, Topanga's a future Cory Matthews, which is such a funny throwaway joke in season 1, but then they run with it and that becomes the thing, you know. And it's just really funny to see those little seeds happen in this episode.
Yeah, well, it's like you know what's gonna happen. So it's kind of fun to rewatch that and be like, oh, this is before, you know.
Yeah. And then so then Minkus comes in. And Minkus, we'll talk about Minkus a lot more than Minkus Minute, but like it's just hilarious how Minkus is in this episode. Like he's just so angry and so like, don't you fucking come for my woman or I will fucking kill you.
Yeah, when he calls Cory a fake.
Yeah.
Fake being my best friend, and he's like, your best friend, really?
Well, there was a really funny quote in this episode. Let's see. When like Mika straight up says, "Be afraid, be very afraid."
Yes.
Which is straight up from Addams Family Values and The Fly. I looked it up also, like in the IMDb trivia stuff.
I feel like it refers to a lot of, you know, famous quotes. Or people refer to it a lot, but it's fun.
And we also get the alternative name for Riley and Augie from Girl Meets World, the scene. Chewbacca and Plankton.
Yes.
Like I wonder which one is Chewbacca and which one's Plankton. That's what I wonder. I guess Chewbacca would be Riley because she's older, and Plankton, since Plankton's small.
Small but mighty.
Right? Or wait, which?
Plankton, I think
So which is more of a girl's name and which one's more of a boy's name? Chewbacca or Plankton?
Well, I don't know, because I think of Plankton from SpongeBob. So
I know, it's SpongeBob was not a thing in 1994. So I think Plankton might be more of a girl's name than Chewbacca, because Chewbacca is associated with a boy.
I guess.
We're gendering an animal and a fictional creature.
Yes.
Huh?
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Augie can be short for Chewbacca.
Okay. Sure.
But yeah, let us know in the comments how you feel about that. So when it's just so funny, like the whole end of Minka's scene, because you're right, he gets in a headlock by Sean, and he just straight up basically tells Sean he's smelly and his underarms are really sweaty.
Yep. Like,
Sean is so fucking gross in this episode.
Your friends won't always be here to save you.
Your bodyguard.
Angry
So
Minka.
then the next thing happens, and this is peak Eric Matthews, I think, early Eric Matthews. He answers the door. It's Topanga, and she takes a seat, literally at the entrance of the house. Like, literally, the door's here. She sits right here. He's like, no, on the couch, get comfy. And, she's so clearly, in love with him.
Yep.
And there's a moment that I love so much, where they're having their scene, and, he's, trying to convince her, she doesn't want him, they should be together, and they're, 5 years apart. When she's like, I might be young, but my soul's very old. And he's like, oh, but guys don't like you for your soul, don't want you for your soul.
Yep. Well, I also like when he tries to tell her that she's smart, and she's like, that's not what he's going after or whatever. He's just like, I don't have to be smart.
Yeah, she's like, I don't have to be smart.
Yeah.
My favorite moment, my favorite image of this whole episode is when she goes in to kiss him, and he just pushes her face, and the way he's holding her face, you just see hair and a body. I'm actually gonna show that image right now. That is just so funny, the imagery of hair and body.
Yep, it is. But they did it on purpose. Look how many references they had to her.
There's seriously too many references about the amount of hair she has on her head. It's you get it, she has hair. I mean, she has a lot of. I mean, she's 90. She has 90 something.
Because I'm pretty sure in the beginning that Eric refers to himself as having the better hair.
Yeah. And Eric does have better hair than Cory. I'll give him that. Let's see. So then the doorbell rings, and we got our one and only appearance of Nebula Stop the War Lawrence.
Yep.
And Eric immediately is in love.
Yep. It's on her.
And then it gets kind of sad there because we get the experience of the sadness that you feel for Topanga.
Yeah. Well, it's also her sister, and right after he rejects her. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I forget? You're an only child, also like me, right?
I have a brother and sister.
Where are you? Oldest, youngest, middle?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Did you ever have to stop people from doing things to your siblings?
Not anything I could really think of off the top of my head.
Any I have to get big sister type situations, or
not really. They're pretty strong-willed, I guess, in that sense.
That's good. Even when they were kids, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really think of anything at least.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm an only child, so I never had anything like this. I imagine that I would have been the oldest kid. But yeah, it's that thing of I feel I don't know, I've always stood up for what's right, so my brain's always been I would definitely help if I could, if my help was needed,
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I've done that more for my friends than my siblings, I guess.
Well, I've done that for so many of my friends. I'm doing that for all my friends right now.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really matter if, you're older or younger or whatever.
You just gotta look out for people.
That mentality, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be a good person and look out for people.
Yeah.
So like then we get to one of the last scenes of the episode, and they give like a minute for William Daniels to read poetry in this episode.
Oh yeah.
And like, so I'm not a poetry person. Like, what?
This is also when Sean is creepy again.
Yes, it is. But like, I'm not a poetry person like at all. And I was so riveted by listening to William Daniels read this epic poem.
Yes.
And I'm just like, damn.
It was a little enduring.
Like, it's like, well, we don't have much Feeney for this episode. Let's just give him a fucking poem to read. Because Feeney is the full, if there's a B plot, it's school stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't even want to call that a B plot. It's just barely there.
Like, it wasn't very much of it.
And like, it's just like there at the beginning, at the end. But like, it's just like, I mean, William Daniels is such a great actor. And like, I'm really like, he's still like pretty much there from what I understand. I think his body is not in the best shape, but like, I know he does cameos and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah. Like Cameo app. Like people can like pay like $60 and have him be like, I'm Mr. Feeney.
Mr. Feeney.
Or I'm Kit from Knight Rider. Or I'm John Adams.
Yes.
Or I'm all in one. So Eric comes back and he talks about like the other things in high school. The things that he wasn't like glamorizing. Like the dangers of drugs, smoking, alcohol, stuff like that. And he starts scaring the shit out of the kids.
Yep.
He scares the shit out of like
Not
Nikas.
exactly what Mr. Feeney was asking for, but
no, but like
at the same time,
but it's interesting.
Don't get into that stuff. I doubt if those were real kids that they would get into that stuff because he's scared out of them.
And like it became like a scared straight program.
Yes.
But Eric Matthews, like the most like suburban looking, like pretty boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because I definitely had that experience. So in high school, like in middle school, like going of like someone being like, "Don't do drugs and don't do this and all." Yeah.
Dare? Were you in Dare as a kid?
No, I wasn't. I was not in Dare. You were?
Yes.
What was Dare like? Was just like you like have meetings or whatever? Or?
Yeah, they hired like these people that came from that program, like counselors or whatever, and it was just like education about like drugs and anti-drugs and all, like smoking and all that.
That's
so it was
cool.
basically that. And then like even at the end of the program, they had people like act out skits to like that were like scenarios. It was like just say no to drugs. Or, like,
and someone's like, "Hey, you want a bag of meth, child?" in the sketch.
Like ridiculous. And I remember they had like a program and they had all the kids like design like anti-drugs or anti-smoking like pictures.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mine was
there was no DARE program in any of my schools. I went to a private school until I was like in 7th grade.
No.
And then I went to public school from then on. I was a lot happier in public school.
Middle school when I had it. It was like 6th or 7th grade.
It makes sense. I mean, it's like the right time.
Yeah,
like
their age.
Yeah. Then we got and then so this is pretty funny. Then we got another cafeteria scene. And Sean's like, "No, we can't let girls get between us." And then all of a sudden, like an adorable little girl walks in. She's like, "How are you in the principal's office?" And Sean's like, "No."
Yep. And Cory tries to be like, "No, what did you just say?" And then he gives in.
We've all been like that, though, right? We've all been smitten over the new kid in school. Like, "Oh my God, I think you're."
Want to be the first to show them around.
I remember there was this girl named Raquel in my middle school who went by Rocky. And she was
my best friends growing up is named Raquel and went by Rocky.
And that'd be really weird if they were the same. They wouldn't be. They probably aren't.
No.
I do not remember this.
Her, so I said I grew up with her, so it wouldn't really.
It wouldn't make sense, no. Because also, like, we're like 3 or 4 years apart, so.
That's kind of funny, though.
But I believe this Rocky also came from New York, too, but I'm not sure. But I remember I had like a quick like fire burning crush on her, and then like it fizzled. Like when she got it, like I think I was such a goody two shoes. I was like scared of the kids that did like smoked or like drugs or anything like that like, at all.
That's kind of how I was.
So I was like, cool, and like she like fell in with that. I'm like, I'm not in love with you anymore.
Oh, well, hey, that's the opposite of what Minkus was like. They were like, what if she started smoking? I'd do it in a minute. Like
Minkus is such a.
Where she said that she's disgusted by people who smoke, and he says, I'm trying to quit.
So funny. It's like Lee Norris is so underrated, I think. Like at least when he was a kid actor. He was pretty good at Girl Meets World too, but like because he hasn't done much like really like that's since like 95.
Yeah.
And then like he came back for Girl Meets World for like 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get our credit scene, which is Mika's tutoring them in French.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, it was so funny to watch that thing. Like just them like trying to learn French, and I'm like, I get.
Try to pronounce French. I feel them. I can't do that either.
I can barely speak English. Like, like I remember this is a very real thing about me that I don't talk about. Like I try to learn Spanish. I try to learn Japanese in high school.
Oh wow, that's hard.
Did not work out well. Then I tried to learn Spanish because, you know, I was in Florida, so might as well. Didn't work out well. And then I had to take a test to test out of language because I found out that my brain is really smart, but like when it comes to things like language, does not work.
Hey, everybody has their strengths. So.
Yeah. Mine is not learning Japanese, but loving the culture.
I hear you there. I would love to learn that too, but I doubt I would be able to learn that language.
Yeah, it's like 5 words from Japanese class. And,
yep. Even like, though I visited, that was all I knew was the basic Japanese.
Yeah. Let's see what we got coming there. And anything else you want to say about the episode before I start talking about like superlatives?
I don't know. I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. All right. So now it's time for the Minkus Minute. Minkus Minute. All right. So for this week's Minkus Minute, there's not much to happen with Minkus. He's only the beginning and the end, but we get love Minkus, like love Minkus, and it's just really fun seeing that about him. You know, like just seeing. Well, I love like how much he hates everything that Eric says in the beginning.
Yep.
Like everything that Eric says is like goes completely against what Mika stands for.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so great.
It really suggests that, you know, Topanga might be into it. That's the only
yeah.
Well.
It's also really funny that like Minkus, we find out that Minkus is not scared of Cory at all in this episode.
Yes.
Like he is not scared. Like when he's in the headlock, he's just like, your bodyguard will be with you all the time.
Yep.
All I will. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
Be very afraid.
Be very afraid. Yeah. Anything else you want to add for the Minkus Minute?
What?
Anything else you want to add for the Minkus Minute?
I mean, I don't know. Just don't get between him and Topanga, or he'll threaten your life.
Like, I just wonder, like, what would have happened in the series if we saw Minkus throughout instead of just the first season and the graduation episode. Like if we saw Minkus like just like in the background, like, oh, I'll get you, Cory, or something like that. Like
that just reminds me of like Brainy from Hey Arnold, like just in the background breathing.
Like if there was just like an extra, like if they just hired Lee Norris just to say one line like a season, like or like whatever, instead of like being like I was on the smart side at school, which is also pretty funny for when they brought it back.
Yes.
But yeah, that is our Minkus Minute for this week. Minkus Minute. And now time for Betsy Randall's the greatest TV mom in the world. A one, two, three, four. Betsy Randall's the best TV mom. Yeah. We don't get much of her in this episode.
No. We have like maybe 30 seconds where she comes in with the groceries.
I literally rewatched her section again just to like see like what happens. and it's fine. Like she does great stuff in it. Like she has so little to do with it. She has like maybe 7 lines in her whole
exactly.
appearance.
She had like barely anything to do with the
But
episode.
she gets the good snacks. She tells Eric to take out the trash,
Yes.
and is there for the end of Topanga getting kicked out of the house. Oh, and I like that she's supportive of Morgan's braid.
Yes, I do too. I would have thought that she would have been like, "What happened?"
Like it was a really cute like top knot braid, you know.
It was really cute.
Like that's one of the things I really love about Amy Matthews. She comes from a place of love. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the best things about Amy Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we don't get a lot of her in this episode, we still get that she's a good mom, that she comes at things with love, and she cares.
Yep. And that's all we really need. It's just her character, basically.
I mean, there is more. There's a lot more. Like eventually, but and also last episode, Once in Love with Amy was all about Amy Matthews.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what the story is, but
yeah. But I mean, like she does what she needs to do. She fills the role. Like her and William Russ are barely in this episode. They both have I think 1 scene apiece.
Yeah, he's only in it to like talk to Cory about like how he feels about what's going on and everything.
Yeah. And he's in there for like literally not even a page of dialogue too.
Yeah.
But
I remember he's like playing with something on the bed. I was like, I wonder if that was like written in the script, like grab this toy and just play with it while you're talking.
Oh, definitely some kind of stage business that David Schrader do.
Like
sure.
very odd and not natural. I remember sitting there like, what the hell is that? Just sat there and talked.
It's just like, oh yeah, you know, me.
Yeah, it was like a football or something.
Like you know me playing with my new Logitech box
there was literally
here.
no point. It wasn't like David to Cory or something like.
Like, come on, man.
Yep. Just like something to do with your hands.
Yeah, I'm really bad at catching things, as you just saw. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So let's get the episode superlative of the episode MVP. For me, it comes down to one of two people. For me, obviously, the two people that really drove this episode. I'm going to give it to Danielle Fishel personally. I think it's the first time that we get a lot of Topanga in an episode where we see the more than just the quirkiness of Topanga. And I think like we start to see like the really great actress that Danielle Fishel is.
I actually agree with you. I would give it to her as well.
Yeah, I almost gave it to Will Friedle because I think he's hilarious and really great, especially like that scene with Beanie.
More of a supporting character in this, more so. In some ways,
it's so weird because I think they both are the leads in the episode, you know.
Yeah.
And then Cory's like the third.
Yeah.
But like definitely they both because Eric's got more of the comedy. She's got she just plays it so good and earnest, you know.
Yeah.
Like
or a child.
And she has she's fucking creepy in this episode with the fucking stalking shit but and
there's so many creepy children in this episode.
And that's coming from a teacher, guys. That's coming from a but it was definitely close between her and Will Friedle for me. But I think what she does with a little bit less than him is a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brings out more emotion in a way.
Exactly. And that's good. You got to have a nice little good emotional arc, especially in the mid-90s for TGIF. Okay, so let's talk about plugs for you. I know that you sing a lot on Smule.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So how can people find you and follow you on things?
Yes, my handle is Eternal X Sunshine, both on Smule and on Instagram.
Nice. Yeah, your Instagram is also fucking incredible. I'm not on Smule, but I listen to your Smule's being something. I'm like, yeah, this is good. Anything else you would like to plug or?
Not really, but thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, Colleen, you've been on my show for a while because you're funny and you're good people, and also I like the idea of having someone that's in our age range, that grew up watching the show. Because even though the show's called Mark Remeets World, it's all because we all watched the show growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's really cool to revisit this as an adult. You know.
Yes. Yeah. One of my friends, when we were in high school, bought all the seasons on DVD, so we would just watch them randomly.
And they still hold up. It's still a great episode.
Yeah.
I was in IMDb, it's got 8.1, and I'm like, Actually, I agree with that. It's a really good episode.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's memorable. Yeah.
My plugs quickly at Mark Levy 85. As you saw, if you want to email the show, markremeetsworld@gmail.com. If you like what you see, I have shows on here 4 days a week. 3 of them are live. This is the only one that's not live. I've got AMAs on Monday. I've got interview with friends on Wednesday. Tomorrow, I've got Tommy Pizzula, who's one of my dear friends from the sequester community, who was like the first 2-time winner of a private mini and a public mini. And he's just a really good, funny dude, and we're going to have probably a pretty cool, funny conversation, hopefully. And on Fridays, I do my Survivor Branch Steel simulations, so please tune into those. Those are live from my bedroom with an Ethernet cord. Yeah. This is not my bedroom, for those that know that. No Kermit poster over the shoulder. But Colleen, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really happy to see you, and always happy to see you.
Anytime. Hey, if you need somebody else another week, I'd be...
Oh, definitely, yeah. No, because I mean, I got like 140 more episodes, and like, I can't ask Josh, Benjamin, and Rachel to do every episode.
Yes.
Although they probably, Josh is getting ready to become a dad, and Rachel is not. But
I know John wants us to do the episode with "They Want You to Take the Roles." I'm pretty sure that's in season 2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I gotta get Galvez on because Galvez would be really good for this too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Colleen. I will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.